What's up, Wraeclast? It's Wabacha again, here with the Gemini, and a surprise second appearance by Ventor because of a recent decision made by GGG regarding Eternal Orbs. I'm going to go ahead and read this for you guys. We introduced Eternal Orbs in the 0.110 patch 2 years ago. Since then, the impact they've had on Path of Exile and its economy hasn't been what we initially intended. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but essentially, when 2.0 hits, Eternal Orbs are no longer going to be in the game.
They're not going to drop.
They're not going to drop, yeah.
There will be legacy versions of
exactly.
orbs in the game.
Imprints will exist. Legacy versions will exist. They have also said in the post that after a little bit, they will reassess the economy and see if there is a place for Eternal Orbs. So this is going to be a two-parter now, but we were just talking with Ventor earlier today about this, and he did say something specifically regarding what could hurt the most in high-tier crafting is not being able to get a hold of Eternals. So that's my bit. Hedgie, Ventor, go.
Well, Chris just dropped a bomb on us. My mind is officially, it's exploded. And honestly, I'm just like, wow. I was really, really looking forward to the new race, honestly. And now that they're not dropping, it changes everything. I mean, what used to be mirror worthy has gone up in value. I guess people were like liquidating all that crap. Now they're just like, well, it's going to be the best for a long time.
Well, it's really big. This is going to shift the meta of crafting to who knows what. But as it stands right now, the mirror items, which are in standard, will basically be immortalized. The highest tier, they'll be immortalized. They won't be able to be beaten. May as well grab your mirror and just, pick one out and, mirror it. Because without Eternal Orbs, and the way they're priced right now, 20, 30 plus exalts each, it's not worth it. So it's going to kill high-level crafting in Standard. I don't think it'll affect the Temporal Leagues as much because brute forcing items wasn't as prevalent there. They had some good stuff, but nothing like Standard. I think it was a relatively good change for the Temporal Leagues, since it's the temptation to do it is basically removed. But for Standard, I have mixed feelings about it.
You don't think that people are going to go ahead and go with the axe and the two-handed axe, sword, mace, maybe going forward with a new patch, since they can't roll spellcaster mods?
Well, wait, what do you mean by the spellcaster mods on the axe?
You know how like daggers and staves, they have a plethora of extra mods that they can roll, so they're much harder to roll, essentially, whereas a physical two-handed sword or, an axe.
Mean like hybrids?
What do you mean, like hybrids?
No, what he means is that a staff could roll increased physical damage and spell damage. Hybrids. The fact that they could be for a spellcaster or for a melee character is what he's saying, I think.
Yeah, you won't be able to roll because the meta mods helps you in that. And I don't think they work with chaosing.
Is this a good place for the master crafting mod, though, that locks your item?
Oh, yeah. They'll probably make it equivalent, probably like 10 exalts or something like that to do, because those are really good mods. If they do it in equivalent, they might change it to a few exalts. I don't know.
Yeah. So to me, what this really looks like is now we're no longer going to have the traditional alteration, regal, exalt, eternal, exalt, eternal, exalt, eternal. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lot more chaos spamming.
It will be chaos spamming, yeah.
And this will hurt the value of the alteration because of that. Well, but it will help the chaos. It looks like, you guys, when you're crafting things, you're just hoping to get a good 5 property item so you could get a good exalt off of it. But even then, it's not worth it.
Is it? If you manage to get a 5 T1 new weapon,
that would be insanely hard, though. Like, no bad mods. 5 T1. I don't think wouldn't happen on a weapon. Wouldn't happen on I think it could happen on armor. I don't think it's ever happened on a weapon like tyrannical flaring. Like, I don't think it's ever happened to get that many mods. I think most is maybe 3 or 4. But to get all perfect like 5. It's definitely happened on armor pieces, but weapons, it's a lot more difficult.
To get a 5 tier 1 roll, now I think they're going to be way more expensive than they were before.
On temporary leagues, yeah, they will be.
Yeah. Well,
You
why
don't
not
think they
on?
would? Yeah, why not on
leagues?
standard? and
Because why not just get a mirror and mirror a 6-tier one?
That's true.
That's what I was saying about items now being immortalized. There's no point of trying in standard. What are you gonna do? Like, it'll cost way more to craft it with chaos or whatever you're using to craft than it is to grab a mirror and mirror it. Like, you can't take away Eternals and leave mirrors in, leaving the mirrorable items in the game already. It's fine for temporary leagues. It's actually perfectly fine because there's not going to be immortalized items in there. So it's starting from scratch, but it completely, I don't know, screws over the standard economy. So it's kind of a dilemma, you know.
So what do you think? What do you think will happen with the mirror situation and templates? You think it's just going to incentivize people to wait even longer, even if they get it early on in the league, or what?
Yeah, it probably will incentivize for people to just use them when they get them, not hoard them until, or maybe hoard them until the end of the league and bring them to standard. That's the only thing you could do. But if someone gets like that claw we saw on beta a few weeks or months ago or whatever, something like that would definitely be, use it on that immediately, so you can use it in your league.
Before we kind of continue the downsides of this, because I do not want this to become a bad, GGG is making a bad decision. Obviously, there are some benefits to this. So what do you see as being a plus side to this, and even in the perma leagues?
Yes, I haven't thought about it as much, benefit. Maybe it'll incentivize people to do MF because the stuff that you find will be more valuable. You won't be able to get a alt regal then eternal exalt for another good stat. You're more likely to find something really nice farming new bosses or something like that. With the new bases and stuff, you'll find good stuff there. So with 2.0 coming, the new items maybe need to be buffed a little bit so they can compete that wouldn't work for temp leagues though. But I'm not really sure. Temp leagues, I think it's a good change for temp leagues. Standard, I haven't really thought about it much.
Okay, so another question I have. So obviously, you've worked your way to being this top tier crafter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You did that with the game as it existed before. What do you think you would have done differently? Have you gotten to Path of Exile without Eternal Orbs?
Actually, this is a funny story. I was the only one with a high mirrored item which wasn't used, or I didn't use Eternals to craft. Gale Emblem. I don't know if you ever heard about it. It was mirrored by a lot of the top caster back when low life Righteous Fire casters existed. I don't know, like the Sporkers. Back in that age, I crafted a shield. Didn't use Eternals. They weren't out yet, and it got mirrored something like 50 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And was that like your breakout item?
Yeah, that was my breakout item. It wasn't my big money because I only charged 4 exalts per mirror, not like 50.
Yeah.
But I got a lot. It was relatively a lot. It was really fucking good. It was tier 1 ES, tier 1 ES percent, legacy flat.
Resplendent.
And then 59 spell damage, 32 intellect, and I think 33 or something lightning resist. Like that, without Eternal Orb, that was the godliest thing you could think of, like for a caster. Nothing else even came close to it at the time for Eternals. As soon as Eternals came out, it slowly, lost momentum.
So you do think that, with that being a past experience of yours, this could be perfectly fine.
Yeah, with the new basis, yeah, it can. It'll be difficult, but it's possible. It's possible to get some good stuff.
But it's difficult as is, right? I mean,
yeah.
If you exalt one item, you spend an exalt, right? If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. Yeah. And before, I would kind of say that Eternals kind of made that process a little bit more difficult because you could go back, right? So with what you were saying in the previous podcast, where you would only trade Eternals at 5.5 to 1, 5.5 exalts to 1 Eternal, that means essentially every time you crafted something other than the last, every single time you crafted something, it costs you 6.5 exalts.
Mm-hmm.
So
what I was going to say is that the issue that arose doesn't matter how much it costs to craft it now, because you can just brute force it and then slap on 100 exalt mirror fee and say,
Yeah.
Yeah, that
come
that was
at me.
something else. That was something else I was going to ask.
That
We're
was
going to see an increase in mirror fees now, right?
yeah, we definitely will.
It's just like insurance, man.
Be-
The
yeah, because,
rates go up,
because
the
you
insurance
can't
go up.
there you can no one else can compete with you, so why not? Why shouldn't AXN increase its Loathbane to 200?
But to be fair, I don't really feel like there were many people who could compete with the top tier crafters.
They could, but they just like me. I could create a Loathbane 2.0 relatively safe, but there's no incentive for me to do that. Why would I do that? And then we both fight for mirror fee. That's the reason why a lot of us don't do it. It's because we'll sit there and have a mirror fee battle, which eventually hurts both of us.
I see some upside into this, like the people that mirrored items right before the announcement of, hey, new mods are coming in, like
Yeah, actually, they're now in the good seat now.
yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I didn't waste my
Yeah.
currency.
Wait,
Yeah.
did you sell? You said you sold some of your items,
Yeah,
right?
I did, which in hindsight probably shouldn't have done now.
Oh yeah.
But I still have a ridiculous amount of currency, which I can buy. It money is an issue. Like when buying like an item, like it's like whatever. I can
But
get what I
nobody
need.
saw
So
this coming.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is this, and it's a little weird too because usually when GGG changes something, they'll kind of post a more in depth reason behind it, and in this they just said, well, the economy isn't what we initially intended. So I'm wondering, did you not intend for people to create perfect rare items? Because it's been stated before that a perfect rare item should be better than a unique item, and that's one of the driving factors behind people playing this game, just because of that. And so now it almost feels like with this, if it stays true, if we are no longer going to get eternal orbs, it feels like people are just going to have to become complacent and deal with satisfactory items when it used to be perfect before.
yeah.
The YOLO exalting is going to be so much more of a thing.
Yeah, it is. It's actually, to be honest, if I could just do it, I wouldn't have introduced internal as to begin with. But that's behind us, so we can't really do that. Or I guess that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I understand, like you, Accent, a couple other people, they have all these nice, perfect T1 items, and you guys offer, different roles, whether it be a resist, whether it be crit chance, mana regen, ES, or
Mhm.
life, all this flexibility with your items. Now that you have those imprints and they actually cost you imprints, how does that change going forward for the customers?
Well, it's gonna come out of the customer's pocket, that's for sure. Um, if they want to change, they're gonna have to pay up 2 Eternals or the equivalent of what they go for. When they mirror an item. For example, Keypad has a ton of variations of his ring that he does. That's not gonna happen anymore. He's gonna need to pick one and pretty much stick with it or pick the most popular and stick with it because Eternals are now a limited supply. They don't fall, or they're not going to drop anymore. So I doubt people want to be using them, 2 of them, to just get a resist or something.
Okay, so if that's the
Change.
case,
Yeah,
then that means the ones that are already out there that are circulating are essentially going to be worth way more way more, right?
yeah. I honestly don't think people are going to craft with them anymore. It's not economical enough to justify it. It'll
So if
be
the ones that are circulating cost more, does that mean the mirror fee needs to be adjusted too, or what?
I'd say that people who own mirrorable items now can probably charge more if they want because there's no threat of someone else coming along and making a better one. So
So
it's just gonna. Eventually they're just gonna get more and more expensive over time because the amount of them is just gonna be depleted.
used to have uniques that you would even eternal,
Yep,
and you'd have the imprint of the colors, and I guess
that's gonna be out the door. That
yeah,
option
that's
to do that is out the door. It's not gonna be viable to do that. You're more. If it costs 20 exalts for an eternal, may as well just roll those 5 or 6 off colors again. You know.
yeah. Do you own anything with 6 off colors?
Right now, no, but I do have an Eternal which has 6 off-color shavs on it, or an Eternal imprint, so I should say. but
Mhm.
I don't know who owns that shav, and I think it only works with the shav you use. Wouldn't work on all Eternal Orbs or all shavs.
I want to chime in here real quick. Earlier, you had said that obviously this is going to get passed on to the consumer, right? And what I feel like really sucks about this is that you guys kind of have no choice in it.
Yeah, we know it's either it comes out of their pocket or ours, and we're not gonna be eating you know costs just to mirror people's items. That's just not how business works. Like, yeah, you don't go to like an ice cream shop and have them
But
pay
what if
you to
it's
eat
a
their ice
bro?
cream. Oh, maybe if she's hot enough.
Okay, so and back to another positive thing. Try to go back to the positive
Yeah.
with this as much as we can.
Yeah.
What is there that has like really good potential in this changing?
What I think it will do is it will cause people to use their orbs to craft. Like right now, there really isn't an incentive for anyone to chaos or exalt their stuff. They may as well just save it and then mirror something that's really good. Now I think there's a bit more incentive to throw some chaos or exalts on some items because say if you were to get a maybe not 6/6 tier one dagger axe, the new axe, I think it would be mirrored. Say you have like four tier ones and tier four, tier three stuff. I think it would be mirrored as well. So I think that it poses a good sink for chaos and exalts, which I've seen people really want their chaos to be worth something.
Right? Yeah, because chaos are so. I mean, they're the biggest currency that we have. That's like
Mhm.
the trade. That's like the preferred kind of trade. Then it's exalt.
Actually, that used to be a very, very good method of earning currency back before Eternals didn't exist. Was mass chaosing on high eye level items. That was actually something I did, which I didn't like to tell everyone because I didn't want everyone to to ruin my what I was doing. So what I did was I chaos spammed high eye level stuff and until I got something really really good, and I'd end up making quite a bit of profit from it. I
Yeah, I
think
did that with
that will be a
Bar.
viable option for the new items because a lot of them are, they a good rolled one will still trump a item that's out now.
I did that so much with Vol Regalias. I would
Yep,
just like six
exactly.
socket, five link it, and then just chaos spam it and
You can
flip
get
it
some
for
good
like,
stuff.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it definitely makes some of the excitement just because you can YOLO exalt something guilt free, knowing that you're not gonna
Yeah,
eternal it.
yeah. No,
But
that was a that was a problem we faced.
but with the people with Eternals, I mean, do you know how many Eternals like other people have?
Nope,
Who has
it's
the most?
we're
And
all kind of like we don't know. We're telling each other
It
different stuff.
almost seems like it would be beneficial to just not use them at this point.
It's not economical choice to use them. You'd benefit more if you were to sell them for however much they're going for. Because
yeah, but
actually, before this was announced, even at 7 exalts each, I was still hesitant to use them on items.
Yeah, because it seems like you could get pretty good margins on items that you just yellow exalt,
Yeah, actually can. It's
especially
very
if you have the bankroll for it.
hmm like I imagine it will be a very common practice for people to alt regal and then YOLO exalt a few times.
And it's kind of funny that you say that because some people might think like now the top tier crafters are going to be buying up all the Eternals, but I almost feel like you guys are in a position to just sell them
Yeah,
because
I will be. Yeah.
yeah, because you could benefit so much from it. You didn't buy them any more than 5.5 to 1.
Yeah.
You would make a good profit off of it. I'd imagine you after selling two, you would make near what some of your mirror fees are.
Yeah.
And if they're reintroduced to the game, great. The price goes back down, and you buy them back again.
Yeah.
I feel like the only use for them now is to mirror items with different properties. Like
Yeah, that's my
like
thoughts
why
as
would
well.
I mean if the crafters are buying them but they're not using them to craft, essentially you're just gonna have to snag two Eternals to get a mirror of the exact properties that you want if it's like customizable. Obviously, if it's like a weapon, it's just pretty much one and done. But yeah, I mean, is that all? Is that what the remaining use of all the legacy Eternal Orbs are going to be? I mean,
I think that's right. I don't think there might be some guy with big balls that goes out there and tries to craft one of the new items with Eternals, but that's like he must be rich.
So what would you do if you saw some guy make a YouTube video of just like burning 20 Eternals into some crap item? Would you bring tears to your eyes?
It would bring tears to my eyes.
Oh man.
Even though you wouldn't buy them at any rate they're going for right now.
Yeah, I would not buy them. I mean, that's someone who really just doesn't give a shit. It's like, 25 exalts each. Nah, I'll use them.
Yeah, I mean, when I logged into live servers, I got spammed. I got spammed with people with hype, anti-hype. I want to say from the tells that I had, it was about 50-50, the reaction, whether it was positive or negative. I mean, what did you guys have any other experiences with? What do you think the ratio is with happy or unhappy with the change?
I don't know a lot of people are just like, oh my god, change, change, change. They weren't necessarily, I hate this or I love this. It was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens. Which is it's kind of I'm in that boat too. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. To be honest.
Just when you think GGG, they drop this. Like I never saw this coming. I feel like I know the company pretty well and their ambitions and their direction, but this one, I would have lost a lot of money betting on this.
Right.
Oh,
I wish they actually removed mirrors instead. That was but I'm still interested to see what turns out.
I mean, how I received this was actually just like, why is there not more information released with this? I mean, Path of Exile is such an in-depth game, and
there might be,
right?
I mean,
there might be in the future, but it's kind of weird that they drop it on us like this because that was that was a very short notice. Like to the point developer manifesto. There's usually a lot more that comes with it, and Path of Exile is so in depth and it's so rich in how players, how people could play this game. And when things change that are substantial, they usually offer that explanation with it. As far as I could tell, they didn't this time. They just said, we're removing this. The economy is not the way we thought it would be. We might look at it later. Which I guess, when it comes down to it, that's fine that they didn't, beat around the bush and they didn't try to sugarcoat it. They just said, we're doing it. But I feel like the people that this really affects would have appreciated the in-depth reasoning behind it, because you said that Yellow Exalting was pretty fun. Even if that's the reason for them, maybe that is the reason for them. Maybe, before it was like, well, Eternal Orbs are supposed to be more for chromatics, and, we don't like the fluctuating price on them, and, blah, 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 blah. If that's the reason, then why not say it? But again, I could see why you wouldn't want to back yourself in a corner as a developer and say one thing and it not necessarily being true. And again, we don't get all the information that they have.
Yeah, all the data and stuff. I mean, I think that they're more interested in creating like, some longevity, some shelf life, or increasing the shelf life of Path of Exile instead of, having people get all their perfect gear, hitting level 100, and they feel like they beat the game, and therefore they have lost a lot of interest. And this definitely makes it a lot grindier. But I mean, how do you guys think it would go down if GGG was going to say, okay, we're going to make a change to Eternals, and we're going to give you guys one challenge league, duration until we remove it, like pretty much a 3-month duration. How do you guys think that?
That would be really good.
I don't think that would affect anything.
Really?
No.
I think that some people, that it would incentivize them, if there's any time to play Path of Exile, it's now. Try to get it's kind of like the last harvest. It's just like, you got to collect all those acorns and store up for a really cold winter.
But what percentage of players actually use the Eternal Orb?
Yeah, that is true too.
It's probably a minority, but
it's such a small amount, and I don't think saying like, well, they're available until the end of this challenge league would do anything to that decision at all. It'd just be like, okay, like I said, it's good that they didn't beat around the bush and they just did it, because this is that kind of change, because it affects so many things, and people are, if I think if it was a bad change, if it was actually a bad change, more people would be outraged by it by now. More people would be obviously outraged by it, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when it hits, though. I mean, there could be things that we don't know that'll happen.
I mean, but think about it this way: with the challenge leagues, the challenge leagues brings a lot of people, and I mean, while the
Yeah, it
individual
does.
might not get an eternal orb, how many eternal orbs do you think are generated in that one span of time? I mean, a lot, right?
Yeah, it's a really good change for the temp leagues because I mean, there's no more like when you get a good item you want to exalt, but then you have that feeling like, I need an eternal exalted. I can't just exalt it. I think it'll be have a lot less guilt when you just throw an exalt on
Right.
it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where you're just like, I have this item, but I can't touch it because it's not going to do it justice
Yeah.
unless I eternal it. I have the responsibility of not breaking this item.
Yeah,
But
right.
on the flip side of that, though, it does suck for the people who do get to the point where they eternal exalt things in the challenge leagues, and there are plenty of people who do that, and they
Yeah.
get to a point where they could eternal exalt, and that's how they get their end game items. That's how they push, 95 plus. Maybe not that's how they do that, but that's how they approach the game. And now it's just gone for them. Now they
Yeah.
have to worry about. You know how many times I've seen Great One, Alteration spam, a Val Regalia, Regal it, YOLO Exalt it, and then from there move to Eternal Exalts. The fact that he will no longer be able to do that, I could see that affecting him and players like him. And I think a lot more players use Eternals in challenge leagues because they're a little bit cheaper. They're generally cheaper than they are in standard, and the people who want to use them do use them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for the change. Like, I think it's okay, but I think it would have been way cooler if they just gave us, one more challenge league. It's their due diligence to let the players get their last chance. I mean, 4 days is like not enough, not
Yeah.
enough to really react to this accordingly. I mean, I think it would be cool, even though you couldn't, like, realistically couldn't find an Eternal Orb in a temp league. You could trade up to it. You could find items, and you could just see how many you could collect for that off season, that long off season.
How much do you guys think they're going to go up to?
There's no telling right now.
I mean, I
Um,
see them in trade chat for 22 exalts, and I mean, they're going higher and higher by the minute. So.
and as they are used, every time someone uses it as an eternal anywhere on the server, the price is going to go up.
We need an Uber Dominus now.
Uber Dominus.
Yeah. Like
Um,
now, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
That's another thing I want to point out, which I was thinking about earlier. People who did get to the point where they were eternal exalting items on temp leagues, I think Uber Azuri was a kind of the culprit behind that, because the people doing it mostly who could afford it were the people who were doing Uber Azuri, like HVR, Flubby. Those are the people I saw personally with stacks of Eternals, who
Right.
made videos of themselves eternally. Those are the only, for me, those are the only people that were eternally
Yeah,
exalted.
I would disagree because I've seen plenty of people who
Bro,
don't run.
I don't play them, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
know.
I've seen a lot of people who don't run Uber Zeri who would eternal exalt things, and Great One is actually a good example of that. So obviously, this is a big change coming from GGG. It's short notice, 4 days before the awakening. Yeah. So Hedgie, good, bad, indifferent.
I mean, I'm kind of disappointed. I wanted to see a race. I wanted to see all those top tier, Ventor, Accent. I wanted to see the Cold War again. Just that,
Nuclear
that hype.
holocaust.
I mean,
Yeah,
you still
maybe.
might, just not with without Eternals. And they
Well,
still have Eternals.
I mean, they have Eternals, but they're. I mean, like you said, like Ventor said, it's not. It would be stupid. It's cost inefficient. You can't
Yeah.
really make profits anymore. I mean, the cost is going to come out of the consumers, so it's pretty much going to be pretty stale for them. But I would have liked to see
Chaos Spam Fest 2015.
Yeah, Chaos
mean-
Spam is back.
in the grand scheme of things, it's such a minority. It's a minority group of players that actually have that privilege and actually have built up an empire so large where they can do that. But
Now, I
I
wouldn't
guess it's-
say that it's a minority entirely because, yeah, they might have an empire, but there's still plenty of people who don't have that empire that just do use them. And those were
No,
the
I'm
people
talking
that.
about like making mirror worthy items, not making
Oh,
GG items like
okay.
usable. I'm talking about like something that someone's gonna craft that's without a doubt, someone's gonna slap a mirror on it.
So
Yeah,
bad. You say bad.
it's gonna be the end of like, oh my god, look what I just made. 606 tier one, and everyone's like, holy shit, I want to mirror it. It'll be more like, hey, I got this really freaking good item that maybe some people come along, that's perfect for my build. It's not gonna be like Loathbane, uh, you know, 20 mirrors a day, like
Right.
Kind of,
stuff like that.
I kind of,
So
I
okay.
kind of felt that was kind of like the job of the Vol Orb. I really thought that some
Yeah.
mirror crafters were just gonna, finish their item and just YOLO vow it and hopefully get that amulet with +1 curse or +1. But I mean, you can't mirror a corrupted item. That was the biggest downside. And I didn't really see any of that, really. Nobody wanted to mirror their original and just try to put it up for thousands upon thousand exalts if it was a success. Locking in the colors, having the original would have been amazing.
Okay. So Hedgie he thinks it's bad. Ventor.
I think it has its ups and downs, but I don't think that they should do an absolute removal of the drop. I think they should make some changes maybe to the orb. Maybe it has some limitations. I think an absolute removal wouldn't be very good for the game as a whole. But the game will go on. It won't end because of the eternal. I don't think that's the case. But there may be some decisions they should make that might better the game.
Like maybe you could only eternal things that are up to 4 properties.
Something like that, or maybe an item can only be eternal 10 times at max, something along those lines, or gives you a kind of a realistic chance of getting a GG item, but not a brute force item.
What about this? What about having Eternals only drop in temp leagues?
And then they go to standard. That's
Yeah,
a good idea
afterwards.
too.
Yeah, they
That would be a good
can't be
idea.
generated in standard
That's
or hardcore to incentivize people to, play the new stuff
Yeah,
and
that's
keep it
actually a
populated.
really good idea. I haven't thought about that. I think GGG should contact some players too and maybe brainstorm something, because just an absolute removal of the item, I think that's very. Yeah, I don't think that's a very good decision. Maybe not. I mean, we'll still see. I don't like to call things before I see it. So
Well, and
Yeah,
don't forget, we also have master crafting,
master crafting,
and
yeah, that's
master
right.
crafting could possibly fill this role of an
Perhaps.
eternal. They could. It's very possible that although they may not like the eternal orb, they like its possibility in crafting. And master crafting already plays such a large role in crafting
Because
that they
that
might be looking to push it to that as well.
yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I
Yeah, we'll
suppose.
just have to wait and see. Honestly, I think it's a good change
Yeah,
overall. Yeah, I think it. I
yeah.
think it's going to be a good change. Like you said, and I agree. It incentivizes chaos spam. YOLO exalting is better. It gives people that the high and lows a little bit more. It makes people less afraid to YOLO exalt because you don't want to YOLO exalt something if it's so good and you think, well, I should just wait for an eternal. And
Hmm.
it, there's so many stipulations that come with using Eternals because of their drop rate and their price and how they fluctuate and like what your league you're on, et cetera, et cetera. I think overall this is a good change. I think we were going too far towards alterations being like the business. It's nice to see it pulled back towards Chaos Orbs and towards Alks, because an Alk and a Scour is essentially the same thing as a Chaos. So I think this is a good change. And earlier I did ask you, if you were to play this game and you were to take the same approach, what would you do? And you said, I actually didn't even Eternal my first item.
Yeah.
So to me, that says that there's actually an opportunity for GGG to remove these because they are weird. They do hurt crafting a little bit, as you said in the previous podcast, because if you can't get them, you can't craft.
Yeah.
But you could craft without them if they're never there in the first place.
Yeah, but the dynamic is that they have been here and they were here and they're going to leave their
Yes.
mark. That's the issue,
Yeah.
is that they've left their mark and it's hard to recover from that.
And the problem is Grinding Gear Games started as a 10-person studio. They started this game from the ground up, and they're going to be design decisions that they make that they're going to have to reverse eventually because they're the wrong decisions at the start. And I think this, they're looking at this as one of them, but it might be reversed.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
I think everyone else should be optimistic about these decisions, as I think most people are. Honestly, it's not something that's going to affect most players, and it doesn't hurt the people who have the mirrored items now. In fact, it kind of helps the people who did recently just mirror items, as we have mentioned. So, and also, it does help with power creep a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there's a lot more good coming out of this than it would appear at first.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we're just having to wait and see. It's not a final decision. Like I'm sure that GG, if they see it has a negative influence, I'm sure they would do something. I don't think they just let it. So I have faith in them that they're gonna make a decision that's gonna be better for everyone. So you just have to wait and see what happens. I don't think people should have knee-jerk responses to it. Just kind of
Yeah.
wait and see what happens.
I mean, the way I felt about mirror items, anyways, in general, with the new tier mods, like it wasn't going to make or break a build. I mean, it was honestly more like a new market, a new race for crafters. That's how I was seeing it beforehand. But now that the Eternals are gone, it's a different story. Because, I mean, whether you have a Loathbane or something with the new tier mods of the Loathbane, I mean, you're still going to be clearing just as fast. I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to have a higher tooltip, yeah. But, I mean, really, once you get that weapon, or once you get something that's like a two-hander with perfect mods and 6 lane, that's pretty much all the damage you need. I mean, there's not that much difference,
Hmm.
kind of like trivializes the content anyways. But
Well, Ventor, thank you very much for joining us again. I know it was
No
short
problem, man.
notice. I mean, we did record that other one just this morning, and then this happened. So we really appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to say before you head off? Before we head off?
Um, I'm just psyched for 2.0 to hit. It's a few more days and we're gonna be playing
All right.
on live service. That's what.
Cool, cool. Oh, the side question: what are you going to be playing, Tempest or Warbands?
I'll probably play the
Or
one most of my guild members play. Which is probably gonna be the non-hardcore league. But if actually if the lockstep is as good as people are saying it is, I probably will go into hardcore.
it's amazing.
And yeah,
It's
really
amazing.
just
is
go
it?
for 8-8, man.
Yeah, go 8-8.
Yeah,
Go 8-8.
Yeah, 8-8, mate.
I'm pretty sure you could do it.
yeah. I mean, whether it's. I start school though soon, so I don't know. I don't know, and I'm almost done.
Oh
So
man.
I don't know.
Oxford?
That no, I wish. I actually go to Texas Tech.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Hedgie, any final
No, I
words?
mean, I'm just really glad like we could rehash this. I mean, it's such huge news dropped by Chris, and definitely, just recording that, we're just like, oh man, now we have to talk about it again. Let's get him back. And I'm just so happy that he was able to reopen it and hear his thoughts, because I wouldn't have known otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching What's Up Wraeclast, and be sure to check out part 1. This has become a 2-part podcast due to the news today and everything. And again, I want to thank Ventor one more time. And
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, of course. And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you guys for watching.
See ya.
Boom.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, he's still recording, but you can talk. He'll just cut this out.
All right. You see the public parties? They're going insane.
Oh yeah, 22. I talked to Axe and I was like, "How many you guys saved?" He's like, "Not many." And he's like, "Fuck."
I got some guy. I get a lot of people who message me just from random stuff. I got some guy who messaged me probably about 20 minutes ago. He's like, "Hey, you got an Empower?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't have any. I'm not selling any." He's like, "You're fucking rich. You're fucking lying to me." I'm like, "Dude, no, I'm not." He's like, "I know you
have
are."
every item in the game perfect, and you got like a whole inventory of them, just
Yeah.
cause.
I know, like some people are pretty nuts. Like, I got a screenshot of it too. I was laughing pretty hard. He's like, "I know you do."
You should say that on the cast, dude. It's hilarious.
Hey, thank you very much for watching that video or listening, whatever it was. If you enjoyed it, please click that subscribe button, and also feel free to check out the other links that I have provided in the annotations that you see on your screen right now. I also did set up a Patreon account, so if you would like to support me in my content creation endeavors, go check that out. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys later.